The alarm bells rang through the Galactic Council chambers as the emergency signal came in. Veltar pressed his four-fingered hand against the control panel and watched the data stream across his screen. The tall blue alien had seen many distress calls in his 50 years of service, but nothing like this. The message came from Kepler 442b, a peaceful world inhabited by the Zephyrians. These plant-like beings had never known war or violence. They spent their days growing beautiful gardens and creating art with their natural light patterns. Their cities looked like living forests with buildings that grew from the ground like massive trees. Veltar read the transmission again. The words made his blood run cold. The Krex Empire had found them. These savage warriors traveled across space looking for weak worlds to conquer. They took everything of value and enslaved the survivors. No one had ever successfully fought them off. The Zephyrian leader, Elder Silwen, appeared on the communication screen. Her bark-like skin was cracked with stress, and her leaf hair was brown with fear. Behind her, Veltar could see smoke rising from burning buildings. "Please help us," she said in her soft voice. "We do not understand why they hurt us." We offered them our finest fruits and most beautiful songs, but they only laugh and take more of our people. Our children are crying, and we have nowhere to run. Veltar closed his eyes. The Galactic Council had rules about military intervention. Most member species followed the peaceful coexistence doctrine. Their ships were built for exploration and trade, not war. Even the Council's defensive forces were no match for the Krex battle fleets. He called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 12 different worlds gathered in the Great Hall. The bird-like Altarians ruffled their feathers nervously. The crystalline beings from Sigma Draconis dimmed their inner light with worry. Everyone knew what the Krex were capable of. "We must do something," said Ambassador Kethel from the water world of Aquarius Prime. Her gill slits fluttered with emotion. "The Zephyrians are defenseless. They have no weapons, no military, no concept of fighting back." "What can we do?" replied General Mortax from the gas giant colonies. "Our ships are explorer vessels. The Krex have been conquering worlds for 300 years. They know how to fight, and we do not." The debate went on for hours. Some wanted to send humanitarian aid. Others suggested diplomatic protests. A few proposed economic sanctions. But everyone knew these measures would not stop the Krex war machine. Finally, Veltar made a desperate decision. He accessed the Council's main database and ran a search for aggressive species capable of combat. Most results came back negative. Peaceful species did not survive long enough to develop space travel if they spent all their time fighting each other. Then one result appeared that made him pause. A small blue planet in a distant solar system called Earth. The file was marked with multiple warning symbols. Class 12 Death World, extreme gravity, violent weather patterns, dangerous wildlife, and inhabitants classified as unpredictably territorial with unprecedented survival instincts. Veltar had never heard of humans before. The file said they had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Their world was so harsh that most Council species would die within hours of landing there. The atmospheric pressure alone could crush a Zephyrian. The temperature swings would freeze an Altarian solid, but the combat assessment made him sit up straight. These humans had fought constant wars throughout their history. They had developed weapons that could destroy their entire planet. Their military tactics were described as innovative to the point of recklessness and terrifyingly effective. The file contained a warning note. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Humans show extreme protective behavior toward perceived allies and genocidal hatred toward threats to their pack groups. Veltar made the call. Far across the galaxy, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison was finishing his night shift at Luna Station. The orbital monitoring post kept watch over Earth's solar system, scanning for incoming threats or strange signals. It was usually quiet work. Earth was too far from the main space lanes to attract much attention. Jake was a tall man with short brown hair and tired green eyes. He had been working the overnight shift for 6 months and was looking forward to his rotation back to Earth. He missed the feel of real gravity and the smell of ocean air. The communication array suddenly lit up with activity. Jake almost spilled his coffee as alien symbols flashed across his screen. The universal translator worked for a few seconds, then gave him a message in clear English. "This is the Galactic Council, calling any humans who can hear this transmission. We have an emergency situation requiring immediate military assistance. A peaceful species is under attack by aggressive invaders. We need warriors. Our people are dying. Please help." Jake stared at the message for a full minute. First contact with aliens was supposed to be handled by diplomats and scientists, not a tired communications officer drinking bad coffee at 3 in the morning. But the message was clear. Someone out there needed help, and they were asking humans to provide it. He forwarded the message to Admiral Lisa Rodriguez at Earth Defense Command on Mars. Then he sent copies to the United Nations, the North American Federation, and every major military command on Earth. Within 30 minutes, his communication board was lighting up with responses. Admiral Rodriguez was a small woman with silver hair and sharp black eyes. She had commanded Earth's space forces for 10 years and had been waiting for this moment since humans first left their solar system. She knew that eventually they would meet other species, and she wanted Earth to make a good first impression. She assembled her staff in the command center on Mars. The holographic display showed the message from the aliens along with everything. They knew about the situation. It was not much information, but it was enough. "How fast can we get a response team ready?" she asked her aide, Colonel Sam Bradley. "The Defiance is in Earth orbit completing its shakedown cruise," he replied. "Captain, Alex Turner has been asking for a real mission to test his crew. The ship is fully loaded and ready for deep space operations." "What about Marines?" "Sergeant Maya Collins has a full platoon on standby. They specialize in rapid deployment and hostile environment operations. Engineer Ryan Parker is also available. He knows more about alien technology than anyone else in the fleet." Admiral Rodriguez nodded. "Get them ready. I want the Defiance launched within 24 hours. And Colonel, make sure they understand this is a rescue mission, not an invasion. We want these aliens to see us as protectors, not conquerors." Captain Alex Turner received his orders while eating breakfast in the officers' mess aboard the Defiance. He was a broad-shouldered man with dark hair and calm blue eyes. He had served in 3 different wars and had been chosen to command Earth's newest starship because of his experience with difficult situations. He read the mission briefing twice. Rescue a peaceful alien species from aggressive invaders. Travel to a star system none of them had ever heard of. Make first contact with multiple alien civilizations. No pressure at all. Turner called his senior staff to the briefing room. Sergeant Maya Collins arrived first. She was a compact woman with red hair and fierce brown eyes. Her Marines respected her because she never asked them to do anything she would not do herself. Engineer Ryan Parker came next. He was tall and thin, with messy blonde hair and excited green eyes. He loved solving technical problems and had been dreaming of studying alien technology since he was a child. "Looks like we get to be heroes," Turner said as he activated the holographic display. Unknown aliens are asking for our help. The situation is bad and getting worse. Are we ready for this? Collins checked her weapon and nodded. My Marines are always ready, sir. When do we leave? Parker was already studying the star charts. I can have the engines ready for maximum burn in 6 hours. The faster we get there, the more people we can save. Turner looked out the viewport, at Earth spinning slowly below them. Blue oceans and white clouds covered the world that had made them who they were. A harsh planet that had taught them to fight for survival and protect those who could not protect themselves. Then let's go. Show the galaxy what humans can do. The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Turner stood on the bridge watching the main screen as the distant planet came into view. Even from millions of miles away, they could see the orange glow of fires burning on the surface. My God, whispered Navigation Officer Lisa Wong as she studied the sensor readings. There are hundreds of ships in orbit around that planet. Most of them are broadcasting Krek's military signatures. Turner activated the communication system. This is Captain Alex Turner of the Earth vessel Defiance calling any Zephyrian forces. We received your distress call and are here to help. The response came immediately. A tall figure appeared on the main screen, unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Elder Silwen looked like a walking tree with smooth bark for skin and leaves that changed color as she spoke. Her large eyes were filled with tears that looked like morning dew. You came, she whispered. We did not think anyone would answer our call. The Council species all said they could not help us fight. We are not the Council, Turner replied. We are humans from Earth. Tell us what is happening down there. Silwen's leaf hair turned darker green with sadness. The Kreks came 3 days ago. They said our world now belonged to their empire. We tried to offer them gifts of friendship. Beautiful flowers, sweet fruits, songs of welcome. They laughed at us and started burning our cities. Behind her, Turner could see other Zephyrians, moving in panic. They moved with flowing grace like dancers, but their movements showed pure terror. Some carried small children with tiny leaf buds for hair. Others helped elderly Zephyrians whose bark was cracked with age. They take our people, Silwen continued. Load them onto ships like cargo. The ones who resist are hurt badly. We do not understand why they want to cause pain. It serves no purpose that we can see. Sergeant Collins stepped forward. Ma'am, we need to know about their military capabilities. How many ships? What kind of weapons? How are they organized? Silwen looked confused. Military? We do not have such things. We have never needed them. The Kreks have large metal ships that shoot fire from the sky. They wear hard shells over their bodies and carry tools that make loud noises and hurt people. Collins exchanged a look with Turner. These aliens had no concept of warfare at all. They were like children trying to understand why someone would want to hurt them. We need to get down to the surface, Turner decided. Can you guide us to a safe landing zone? Nowhere is safe, Silwen replied. But there is a forest grove 20 miles from our main city. The Kreks have not found it yet because the trees hide it from their sky ships. The Defiance descended through the atmosphere under cover of the planet's natural magnetic field. Ryan, Parker had modified their sensors to mimic local wildlife, making them nearly invisible to Krek's detection systems. The landing party consisted of Turner, Collins, Parker, and 6 Marines. They wore standard Earth combat armor that looked primitive compared to some Council technology, but was built to survive anything. The Zephyrian air was thick and sweet, filled with the scent of growing things. Elder Silwen met them at the landing site along with several other Zephyrians. Up close, the aliens were even more impressive. They stood nearly 8 feet tall with graceful movements that made no sound. Their bark skin had intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change in the light. "You are smaller than we expected," Silwen said, studying the humans with curiosity. "And your skin is so soft and pink. How do you survive without photosynthesis?" "We eat other things," Collins replied. "Plants, animals, processed foods. Our world taught us to be adaptable." Parker was already scanning the area with his instruments. "Captain, I am reading massive energy signatures from the direction of the city. The Kreks are using plasma bombardment weapons to destroy the Zephyrian structures." Through the trees, they could see pillars of smoke rising into the sky. The sound of explosions echoed in the distance like thunder, but mixed with the noise of destruction. They could hear something else. Music. "Are your people singing?" Turner asked. Silwen nodded sadly. "It is our way of mourning. When we are afraid or hurt, we sing together. The songs help us remember that we are connected to all living things." The humans listened to the alien music floating through the forest. It was beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. The voices rose and fell like wind through leaves, expressing grief beyond words. "We need to see what we are dealing with," Collins said. "Can you take us closer to the fighting?" "Fighting?" Silwen looked puzzled. "We do not fight. When the Kreks come, we try to talk to them. We offer them food and shelter. Some of our people lie down on the ground to show they mean no harm." Collins felt her jaw clench. "And what do the Kreks do when you lie down?" "They put metal restraints on our people and take them away. We do not understand where they go." Parker checked his scanner readings. "I am detecting Kreks ground forces about 2 miles from here. A full battalion with heavy weapons and armored vehicles. They are systematically destroying every structure in their path." Turner made his decision. "We need intelligence before we can help effectively. Collins, take your team and observe the Kreks operations. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Parker, start analyzing their technology. I want to know their weaknesses." As they moved through the forest, guided by Zephyrian scouts who knew every tree and path, Turner began to understand the scope of the problem. The Kreks were not just invading. They were systematically destroying an entire civilization that had never known violence. The Zephyrians had no weapons, no military organization, no concept of tactical thinking. They were gardeners and artists and philosophers. Their idea of conflict resolution was to sit in a circle and discuss feelings until everyone agreed. Against any normal enemy, this might have been admirable. Against the Kreks, it was a death sentence. They reached an observation point overlooking the main Zephyrian city. What they saw made the humans feel sick. Krek soldiers were herding groups of Zephyrians into transport ships like cattle. The aliens moved with mechanical efficiency, showing no emotion as they separated families and dragged away anyone who resisted. The Kreks themselves were reptilian beings about 7 feet tall with thick scales and powerful claws. They wore black armor that covered most of their bodies and carried energy weapons that could cut through stone. Their movements were coordinated and professional. "They are not just raiders," Collins observed through her binoculars. "This is a full military operation with proper command structure and logistics support." Parker was studying the Kreks' technology with fascination and horror. Their weapons are energy-based, but inefficient. They rely on overwhelming firepower rather than precision, and their armor has weak points at the joints. Turner watched a group of young Zephyrians being loaded onto a transport ship. Their leaf hair had turned completely brown with fear. How many people have they taken? Nearly 50,000, Silwen replied quietly. Half of our population. The rest are hiding in the deep forests, but the Kreks are searching everywhere. Turner felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. He had seen enough wars to know what came next. The Kreks would keep taking Zephyrians until there were none left, and the gentle plant people would never fight back because they simply did not know how. That ends now, he said. The human team set up their base camp in a hidden grove where the massive Zephyrian trees formed a natural canopy. Parker worked with the aliens to understand their biotechnology, while Collins tried to explain basic military concepts to beings who had never heard the word enemy before. "I do not understand," said Erlin, a young Zephyrian whose bark was still smooth with youth. "Why would anyone want to hurt others? Does it not cause them pain as well?" Collins sat cross-legged on the soft grass, trying to find words that would make sense to a completely peaceful mind. "Some species are different from you. They take pleasure in controlling others. They see kindness as weakness. But we offered them our best fruits," another Zephyrian said. His name was Kolrin, and his leaf hair was already turning gray with age. "In our culture, sharing food creates bonds of friendship. How could they refuse such an offer?" "Because they do not want friendship," Collins replied. "They want slaves. They want to take everything you have built and make it their own." The concept seemed impossible for the Zephyrians to grasp. Their entire civilization was based on cooperation and mutual support. The idea that someone would deliberately harm another being for personal gain was like trying to explain color to someone who had been blind since birth. Parker was having better luck with the technical aspects. He studied the Zephyrian biotechnology with growing amazement. Their buildings were alive, growing from specially modified trees that could shape themselves into complex structures. Their tools were living organisms that adapted to different tasks. "This is incredible," he told Turner as they examined a Zephyrian data storage device that looked like a large flower. "They do not manufacture anything. They grow it. Their entire technology base is biological." Turner nodded thoughtfully. "Can we weaponize any of it?" "That is the problem," Parker replied. "Everything they create is designed to help and heal. Their plants produce medicines, food, and building materials. I have not found anything that could hurt a fly, let alone a Krek soldier." Meanwhile, Dr. Emma Foster worked with Zephyrian healers to understand their biology. The ship's medical officer was fascinated by how the plant people processed nutrients through photosynthesis, while also eating traditional food for minerals and complex proteins. "Your people have an interesting defense mechanism," she told Elder Silwen as they examined tissue samples under a microscope. "When threatened, your skin can become extremely bright. It is like a natural flashbang grenade." Silwen looked confused. "Grenade? A weapon that creates bright light and loud noise to confuse enemies," Foster explained. "Your fear response could actually be used as a defensive tool." "We do not wish to hurt anyone," Silwen replied firmly. "Even those who hurt us." "You do not have to hurt them," Foster said. "Just confuse them long enough to escape or call for help." Lieutenant Ben Carter was working on a different problem. The intelligence officer had managed to tap into Krek's communications using equipment Parker had modified with Zephyrian biotechnology. What he learned was not encouraging. "They are treating this as a minor harvesting operation," he reported to Turner. "Standard protocol for conquering primitive worlds. They plan to take 90% of the population as slaves and leave the rest to maintain the agriculture. How many Kreks are we dealing with? Turner asked. About 5,000 ground troops plus support personnel. 3 battle cruisers in orbit and a dozen smaller ships for transport. But, Captain, there is something else. This is just the advance force. They have called for additional ships to help process the harvest. Turner felt his blood run cold. More Krek ships meant more soldiers, more weapons, more innocent people taken into slavery. Time was running out. He made a difficult decision. Collins, we need to start training the Zephyrians for combat. I know they do not want to fight, but they need to learn how to protect themselves. Collins gathered a group of 20 young Zephyrians who had volunteered to learn what the humans called defensive techniques. She started with basic concepts like camouflage and evasion, skills that came naturally to forest dwellers. Your ability to change color is better than any camouflage system we have, she told them. You can become nearly invisible when you stand still. That is a huge advantage. The Zephyrians proved to be quick learners when it came to hiding and moving silently. Their natural grace made them excellent at stealth operations. But when Collins tried to teach them to fight back, they struggled with the concept. When someone grabs you, you push them away like this, she demonstrated on one of her Marines. The Zephyrian named Ventar tried the technique but barely applied any pressure. I do not want to hurt you, he said softly. I am not hurt, Collins replied. You are just making me let go. Try again, harder this time. But Ventar could not bring himself to use real force, even in practice. It went against everything his people believed about proper behavior. Parker had been working on a different approach. He discovered that Zephyrian plants could be modified to produce non-lethal chemical compounds. Working with their biotechnicians, he developed seeds that would grow into vines capable of wrapping around enemies and holding them without causing injury. These restraint pods will activate when they detect aggressive pheromones, he explained to a group of interested Zephyrians. Plant them around your cities, and they will automatically capture invaders without harming them. The Zephyrians were much more comfortable with this approach. It allowed them to defend their homes without violating their moral principles. Meanwhile, Turner and Carter planned their first joint operation. Intelligence showed that the Kreks were holding about 1,000 Zephyrians in a temporary prison camp outside the main city. The facility was lightly guarded because the Kreks did not expect any rescue attempts. We go in fast and quiet, Turner explained to the mixed team of humans and Zephyrians. The Zephyrians use their camouflage abilities to get close to the guards. We use non-lethal takedown techniques to neutralize the sentries. Then we get the prisoners out before reinforcements arrive. Elder Silwen was worried about the plan. What if someone gets hurt? What if we fail and make things worse? Then more of your people will be taken, Turner replied gently. Sometimes. The only way to prevent greater harm is to accept smaller risks. The rescue mission launched at dawn when the Krek's guards were changing shifts. The Zephyrians moved through the forest like ghosts, their bark skin shifting colors to match the trees and shadows. The humans followed, trusting their alien allies to guide them safely. At the prison camp, they found conditions worse than expected. The Zephyrians were packed into metal cages barely large enough to stand in. Many showed signs of dehydration, because the Kreks did not understand their need for both water and sunlight. The first guard never knew what hit him. Ventar approached invisibly and used one of Parker's restraint seeds to wrap the Krek soldier in living vines. The alien struggled for a few seconds, then fell unconscious as the plant released a mild sedative. "It worked," Ventar whispered in amazement. I stopped him without causing pain. Within minutes, the entire guard force was neutralized, and the prison gates were open. The rescued Zephyrians stared in amazement as their rescuers appeared out of thin air. For the first time since the invasion began, they had reason for hope. The successful rescue operation sent shockwaves through the Krek's command structure. For the first time in their military history, they had lost prisoners to an organized resistance. War Commander Thaxavor studied the reports from his flagship. With growing confusion and anger, how did primitives overpower trained soldiers? He demanded of his subordinates. The massive reptilian officer stood 9 feet tall and wore armor decorated with the skulls of defeated enemies. His claws clicked against the metal table as he reviewed the tactical data. "Unknown, sir," replied Captain Vexnall, trying not to show fear. The guards were found alive but unconscious. They were wrapped in some kind of plant matter that released sedative chemicals. "Our forces report no energy weapon signatures or conventional explosives." Thaxavor's eyes narrowed to yellow slits. "Plants? Are you telling me that garden-tending weaklings defeated our soldiers with vegetables?" Before Vexnall could answer, another alarm sounded. A communication officer hurried over with a data pad showing incoming signals. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from an unknown vessel. They identify themselves as humans from something called Earth." The main screen activated and Captain Turner appeared. He stood calmly on the bridge of the Defiance, flanked by his officers. To Krek's eyes, humans looked small and weak, with their soft skin and lack of natural weapons. But Turner's steady gaze made Thaxavor feel unexpectedly uneasy. "I am Captain Alex Turner of the Earth Defense Force," Turner said in a clear, strong voice. "You are illegally occupying a peaceful world and enslaving innocent civilians. You have 24 hours to release all prisoners and withdraw from, this system." Thaxavor laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "You dare threaten the Krek's empire, little mammal? Your pathetic ship could not scratch the paint on my hull. Surrender now, and I might let some of your crew live as entertainment." Turner's expression did not change. "I am not threatening you. I am informing you. You have 24 hours. The transmission ended, leaving Thaxavor staring at a blank screen. No one had ever spoken to him with such casual confidence before. Usually, species begged for mercy or offered tribute. This human had issued an ultimatum as if he held all the advantages. "Send fighters to destroy their ship," Thaxavor ordered. "I want their captain brought to me alive so I can teach him proper respect." But the Krek's fighters never found their target. The Defiance had vanished from sensors the moment the transmission ended. Parker's modifications allowed the human ship to hide among the asteroid fields using a combination of stealth technology and Zephyrian biological camouflage. Turner was not idle during the waiting period. He called Admiral Rodriguez and requested immediate reinforcements. Within hours, 3 more Earth ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. The heavy cruiser, Retribution under Captain Sam Bradley, brought a full Marine Expeditionary Unit led by Colonel Maria Santos. "Situation report," Admiral Rodriguez requested as her hologram appeared on the Defiance's bridge. "We are dealing with approximately 5,000 Krek soldiers and a civilian population that has no military experience whatsoever," Turner replied. "The enemy is overconfident and poorly organized, but they have superior numbers and firepower. Rules of engagement? Protect the civilians at all costs. Minimize Krex casualties if possible, but do not risk human or Zephyrian lives to do so. These people asked for our help, and we are going to give it to them. Admiral Rodriguez nodded grimly. Understood. Begin operations at your discretion. The human response began at exactly 24 hours after Turner's ultimatum. It started small but escalated rapidly, according to a doctrine Earth forces called proportional deterrence. Every Krex action would be met with an overwhelming response designed to teach them that aggression carried a heavy price. The first lesson came when a Krex patrol attacked a Zephyrian village. The aliens burned homes and took captives, just as they had been doing for days. But this time, Sergeant Collins and her Marines were waiting in the forest. The attack was surgical and precise. Collins used sniper fire to take out the patrol leader, while her team deployed non-lethal gas grenades that incapacitated the remaining soldiers without killing them. Within minutes, 20 Krex troops were unconscious and tied up with Zephyrian restraint vines. Collins left them where they fell with a message in Krex script that Ryan Parker had programmed. Property of Earth Defense Force. Next time we will not be so gentle. The second lesson came when the Krex tried to bomb another Zephyrian city from orbit. The plasma bombardment never reached the surface because the Retribution intercepted it with point defense systems and then fired a single precise shot that disabled the Krex cruiser's main weapons array. Captain Bradley's message was broadcast on all Krex frequencies. This is your only warning. Any further attacks on civilians will result in the complete destruction of your military capabilities. But the real shock came when Master Sergeant Tony Martinez led a Special Forces team in a raid on the main Krex supply depot. Using Zephyrian stealth biotechnology and human explosives, they infiltrated the heavily guarded facility and destroyed 3 months' worth of food, ammunition, and replacement parts. The Krex found their guards sleeping peacefully, wrapped in sedative vines and dreaming of home. Their entire logistical network had been crippled without a single shot being fired. Technical specialist Lisa Wong worked with Zephyrian engineers to create hybrid defensive systems. They developed living armor that could heal itself and weapons that adapted to different threats. The Zephyrians were amazed to see their biotechnology enhanced with human engineering principles. "We never thought of using our plants this way," said bioengineer Meredith as she watched a vine system automatically detect and neutralize a Krex scanner. "You have shown us that defense and creation can work together." Dr. Foster established field hospitals that treated wounded from both sides. The Krex prisoners were shocked to receive medical care that was better than what their own military provided. She saved the life of a Krex soldier who had been left behind by his own forces, earning grudging respect from other captives. "Why do you heal us?" asked the wounded soldier, his voice weak but curious. "We are your enemies." "Because that is what doctors do," Foster replied as she checked his bandages. "We heal the sick and injured regardless of who they are." The turning point came when Intelligence Officer Ben Carter identified the location of the Krex command ship. The massive vessel stayed hidden behind the planet's largest moon, protected by fighter patrols and defensive shields. "We can get close using asteroid cover," Colonel Santos reported during the planning meeting. "But taking out their command structure will require a direct assault. It will be dangerous." "The Zephyrians want to help," Turner said. "They have volunteers who are willing to guide us through their moon's cave system. We can use their knowledge of the terrain to our advantage." Elder Silwen stepped forward. Her leaf hair had turned silver with stress, but her voice was steady. "Our people have decided. We cannot continue to stand by while others fight for our freedom. We will help you end this, but we will do it our way." She gestured to a group of young Zephyrians who wore living armor, grown from modified bark and leaves. "We call them the Guardian Grove. They have learned your human techniques, but they will use them to protect life, not destroy it." Turner looked at the mixed force of humans and aliens preparing for battle. Somehow, against all odds, the pacifist Zephyrians had learned to fight without losing their souls, and the humans had learned to wage war without becoming monsters. The assault on the Krex command ship began before dawn. Colonel Santos led a combined force of Marines and Zephyrian Guardians through the ancient cave systems of the planet's moon. The aliens moved like shadows through passages they had known since childhood, while the humans provided tactical expertise and heavy weapon support. War Commander Thaxavor watched his perimeter alarms with growing alarm. His sensors showed movement everywhere, but his targeting systems could not lock onto anything solid. The attackers seemed to appear and disappear like ghosts, striking at weak points before vanishing back into the rock. "Sir, we have lost contact with defensive posts 7 through 12, reported his tactical officer. "No energy weapon signatures detected. No explosions. They just stopped responding." Thaxavor felt something he had never experienced before in 3 decades of conquest: fear. These humans and their plant allies were unlike any enemy he had faced. They fought with precision and intelligence, targeting command structures and supply lines rather than engaging in direct confrontation. The breakthrough came when Tony Martinez and a team of Zephyrian infiltrators reached the ship's main power core. Using a combination of human explosives and Zephyrian biotechnology, they created a cascading failure that shut down half the vessel's systems without killing anyone. "Bridge, this is engineering," came a panicked voice over the comm system. "We have total power failure in sections 4 through 9. Life support is failing and artificial gravity is offline." Thaxavor realized his position was hopeless. His ship was crippled. His ground forces were scattered and demoralized, and reinforcements were still days away. For the first time in Krex history, a war commander was facing defeat at the hands of supposedly primitive aliens. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of pressing their attack, the human fleet pulled back and opened a communication channel. Captain Turner appeared on screen again, but this time he was not alone. Elder Silwyn stood beside him, her bark skin glowing with bioluminescent patterns that indicated she was speaking for her entire people. "War Commander Thaxavor," Turner said calmly, "your military position is untenable. Your ship is disabled. Your ground forces are cut off from supplies, and you have no hope of reinforcement before we can complete your destruction. But we are offering you an alternative." Thaxavor bared his teeth in a snarl. "You think I will surrender to weak mammals and garden plants? We think you will listen," Silwyn replied, her voice carrying harmonics that somehow penetrated the translation barrier and conveyed deep wisdom. "We have learned much about your people during this conflict. You are not evil. You are desperate." The war commander paused. No enemy had ever called the Krex desperate before. They were conquerors, the strong who took from the weak. But this plant woman spoke as if she understood something about them that they did not understand about themselves. "Dr. Foster has been treating your wounded soldiers," Turner continued. "They have been telling us about your home world, the environmental collapse, the resource depletion, the population crisis. You are not conquering because you enjoy it. You are conquering because you think it is the only way your people can survive." Admiral Rodriguez materialized as a hologram beside Turner. Her expression was stern, but not hostile. "The Galactic Council has resources that could help solve your problems without requiring you to enslave other species. But first, you need to prove that the Krex Empire can be trusted to honor agreements. Thaxivor felt his worldview shifting in ways that made him uncomfortable. For generations, the Krex had been taught that strength was the only currency that mattered in the universe. The weak existed to serve the strong. Mercy was a luxury that led to extinction. But these humans had shown mercy while demonstrating overwhelming strength. They could have destroyed his entire fleet, but instead offered negotiations. They treated captured Krex soldiers better than the Krex military treated its own troops. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "Release all Zephyrian prisoners immediately," Turner replied. "Withdraw your forces from this system and accept council mediation for relocating your people to suitable uninhabited worlds. In exchange, Earth will provide technical assistance for environmental restoration, and the Council will supply emergency resources while permanent solutions are developed. And if I refuse," Admiral Rodriguez smiled coldly, "then we will demonstrate what humans do to species that threaten our friends. You have seen our restraint. Do not mistake it for weakness." The negotiations took 3 days. Thaxivor found himself sitting across a table from beings he had been trained to see as inferior, gradually realizing that they understood warfare better than the Krex ever had. The humans did not just know how to fight. They knew when to fight, when to show mercy, and when to offer alternatives to violence. Dr. Foster played a crucial role in the talks by bringing in wounded Krex soldiers who spoke about the medical care they had received. One young trooper named Kexdal told Thaxivor how the human doctor had saved his life after his own forces had left him for dead. "She could have let me die," he said quietly. "I would have done the same to her. But she worked for 6 hours to repair my injuries and then sat with me while I recovered. She even learned some of our language so she could talk to me about my family back home." Silwen contributed her own perspective as someone who had learned to see beyond traditional concepts of strength and weakness. "Your people are strong in body but weak in spirit," she told Thaxivor during a private conversation. "You have forgotten that true strength comes from protecting others, not conquering them." The breakthrough came when Ryan Parker presented detailed plans for environmental restoration technology that could repair the damage to the Krex home world within a generation. The plans required cooperation between multiple species and adherence to strict environmental protocols. But they offered something the Krex had never dared hope for: a future without endless conquest. "Why would you help us?" Thaxivor asked. "We are your enemies." "No," Turner replied. "You were our opponents. There is a difference. Enemies want to destroy each other. Opponents can become allies when they find common ground." The final agreement was signed in the Zephyrian capital, in a ceremony that combined human military protocols with Zephyrian artistic traditions. The Krex would withdraw from all occupied territories and accept resettlement assistance from the Galactic Council. In return, they would receive environmental aid and access to trade networks that would make conquest unnecessary. As the Krex ships prepared to leave, Thaxivor met with Turner one last time. The war commander had removed his ceremonial armor and looked older and more tired than before. "Your species is dangerous," he said bluntly. "You fight like demons, but show mercy like saints. The galaxy will not know what to make of you." Turner smiled. "Good. Let them wonder. Maybe it will make them think twice before they try to hurt innocent people." Elder Silwen planted a memorial grove to honor all who had died during the conflict, both Zephyrian and Krex. The trees grew in patterns that told the story of how peace could emerge from war when guided by wisdom and compassion. the humans returned, to Earth as heroes. But they left behind something more valuable than victory. They left behind the knowledge that strength and mercy could coexist, and that sometimes the greatest warriors were those who knew when to put down their weapons and offer a hand in friendship instead. The galaxy would never be quite the same.